This is the Alabama Orthopaedic Clinic D1 Training High School Football Preview Show.
Work. Dr. Clayton Lane is with us from Alabama Orthopaedic Clinic to talk a little bit about an injury that those of us who follow football or sports, it seems like we hear about it more than we ever have, and it also seems like it always happens when it's like a non-contact injury, the ACL injury.
That's right, you are hearing about it more. ACL injury rate is going up, and largely that's because of the increased number of kids in cutting and pivoting sports. And also the level of competition that we're seeing now at a younger and younger age. So yes, ACL injury rates are going up.
And you see it all like, so not just at a pro, at a college level? I mean, do you, being a physician here, see it all the way down into high school and even younger than that?
Absolutely. I mean, as a sports surgeon, it's one of the most common procedures I do, and that's what you hear about most, unfortunately, is when somebody has an ACL injury, they're going to need surgery, unfortunately. And so too much we talk about the surgery, but what I'd like to get across is that, you know, there's other ways to prevent ACL injury and prevent you getting to that point.
You know, if you think about, if you have an injury that's caused by an impact or you know, a hit, that might be, I'm a few years short of my medical degree, but that might be harder to prevent. But when you see these injuries that are non-contact injuries, there has to be things that you could do leading up to that in your training to try and reduce the risk?
That's absolutely right. And so 70% of ACL injuries are non-contact. So what you're saying is absolutely true. If they're non-contact, if you just think about it, then the athlete's doing something wrong to cause harm to themselves. So what we need to do is identify those things and correct them. And the science is there. We do have very good science that's shown us there's several flaws that the athlete does that makes them more prone to ACL injury.
Well, let's make sure Dan and I aren't doing any of those things. So
I think we're good.
So like what? So where do you see athletes falling short in their training that could result in exposing them to a potential ACL injury?
Well, I'll tell you two simple things. So number one is hamstring weakness. The hamstrings run down the back of the thigh, they connect to the tibia, and they pull back on the tibia or shin bone. And that supports the ACL throughout the game or the event, okay? So if they're fatigued or they're overcome by stress, then that support is lost and the athlete's more prone to ACL injury. Another thing we see athletes turning their knee in, not kneed position, for example. So that's when they're jumping, if they let their knee fall in, or if they're cutting or pivoting, they let their knee fall in. That makes them prone to ACL injury.
Interesting.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah. And the great thing about AOC is you can go to the website anytime. You can learn about the doctors, you can learn about the treatments, and you can learn about some things that are preventative as well.
Right.
And you know, that hamstring, like, so what, just quick, like, so what do you do to focus to make sure your hamstring's not weak?
So two very simple things to correct both of those problems. Number one, hamstring strengthening. That's pretty straightforward. Do hamstring curls, Nordic hamstrings, plyometric type exercises that will increase your hamstring strength and not let them fatigue during the game. What's maybe a little bit less obvious is how do you solve that knee in problem or the twisting mechanism? The easiest way to do that, and anybody can do this at home, is just do single leg squats. So just under your own body weight, stand on one leg and squat down to about 90 degrees and then come back up, but all the while paying attention to keeping that knee over your toes and not letting it fall in. So if you train yourself to do that with repetition, then whenever you come down from a pass or you cut, you'll keep those same mechanics and lower your chance of ACL injury.
Wow. Want to do that too. Great to have you here. Great insight.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing more throughout the season as well. We'll come back here when we do come back. We're going to hear, we've got Ben Blackman here from the one of our, Matt Quinn, the kicker. I mean, he's here.
Yeah.
Then Kenny King has an excused absence tonight here. He's got his offensive coordinator, Zach Golson, here, and a very special athlete that you're going to see on Friday nights and then soon on Saturdays as well. So more of our preview show coming up from the D1 training facility here with Alabama Orthopaedic Clinic right here on UTV44 as we get ready for Spanish Fort and Daphne tonight here from Spanish Fort.